You are watching the Friday edition of Platinum Northwest TV News. Good evening and thank you so much for joining us. I'm Philadelphia Mangoeng. Let's take a look at the news making headlines. First up, MTN launches the back-to-school activation at Sun City, and Acting Provincial Commissioner welcomes arrest of police sergeant charged with fraud. In the business news, SA petrol prices managed better in February, and in the sports news, Sports Minister hints towards an improvement in South African boxing. We begin here. MTN launched the back-to-school activation yesterday at Sunset Resort in Rustenburg under the theme Leave No One Behind. As part of the Quality Learning and Teaching campaign, the MTN committed themselves by donating 50 tablets to the underperforming schools in the Northwest Province. The MTN SA Foundation Central Regional Manager Thapelo Mokoma committed that they will continue to equip schools with digital equipment that will enable effective and efficient teaching and learning. The tablets have been installed with curriculum content from grades R to 12, and educators will be capacitated on how to utilize them. Schools were encouraged to work hard and use the available resources to improve results.
We are here to support the Department of Education on its back-to-school drive. We've got SGBs, we've got district directors, circuit managers here, and we're here to make a donation of technology tablets to all the districts as allocated by the MEC. We are supporting the Northwest Department of Education to digitize, because education Jaga MTN, we standing behind the department. 95% is the way to go, and we stand behind every goal of the department to make it happen. And MEC and the whole department, they can rely on us as a partner to stand behind. I thank you.
In other news, the Acting Provincial Commissioner of the Northwest, Major General Patrick Sanning, welcomed the arrest and appearance of Sergeant Tebogo Kgalekgobwe in the Delareyville Magistrates Court on Tuesday for fraud and defeating the ends of justice. The member was granted 2,000 Rand bail and is expected to reappear on Friday, the 4th of April. The sergeant, attached to detectives, was apprehended after he allegedly attempted to release a detainee arrested for possession of drugs. Police spokesperson in the Northwest Province, Brigadier Sabata Mokhabona, elaborates.
That after the accused attempted to have the prosecutor sign the 500 Rand admission of guilt fine documents. However, the vigilant prosecutor checked the charge sheet and established that the said case was postponed until Monday, the 25th of November 2024, for a bail application. The accused allegedly then took the documents to the clerk of the court and paid the 100 Rand admission of guilt fine, but the prosecutor registered a case before the suspect could be released. The Provincial Anti-Corruption Unit investigated the case, which was later referred to the Director of Public Prosecutions, and came back with a decision to arrest. Investigations into the matter, including in terms of the SAPS disciplinary regulations, are underway. The Acting Provincial Commissioner expressed his disapproval for the member's conduct, which he said is unprofessional, dishonest, and tarnishes the image of the service, and will not go unpunished. He also thanked the police and prosecution for collaborative efforts in the fight against corruption.
In more news, residents in Saldanha Bay are relieved after the Western Cape High Court official transferred the Joshlin Smith trial to the area. This was disclosed during a pre-trial hearing earlier today in the High Court in Cape Town. The missing 6-year-old's mother, Raquel Smith, boyfriend Jack Napolis, and their friend Stefano van Rijn will stand trial at a multi-purpose center in the West Coast town from March 3rd to 28th. The venue where the trial will be hosted is a community center that will now serve as a sitting of the High Court. The venue will be turned into a full-on courtroom with security expected to be on alert. In international news now, as part of the first phase of the ceasefire deal, Hamas released 4 bodies on Thursday. The bodies were of the 4 captives taken back in October 7, 2023, during the attack by Hamas on Israel. The remains were said to be those of Shiri Bibas and her 2 children, Ariel and Kfir, as well as Obed Lifshit, who was 83 when he was abducted. The mother said to have been returned with them, but Israel forces said hours later that another person's remains were released instead. During the hostage handover, Hamas fighters carried the caskets over the Red Cross vehicles where staffers in red vests covered them in white sheets before placing them inside. Each casket had a picture fixed to the front bearing the image of the slain hostages whose remains were supposedly inside. Now, Hamas claims all 4 were killed by Israeli airstrikes. Hamas is said to free 6 living hostages on Saturday in exchange for hundreds more Palestinian prisoners and says it will release 4 more bodies next week, completing the ceasefire's first phase. In more international news, the U.S. Senate voted on Thursday to confirm Kash Patel as the FBI director, installing a staunch loyalist of President Donald Trump at the head of the nation's top law enforcement agency. Now, the Senate voted 51-49 to confirm Patel, with Republicans Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski joining the Democrats in voting against his confirmation. Let's take a look.
The yeas are 51. The nays are 49. The confirmation is confirmed. Under the previous order, the motion to reconsider is considered made and laid upon the table, and the President will be immediately notified of the Senate's actions.
Now, during his Senate confirmation hearing, Patel said that if confirmed, he would investigate any matter that is important to the U.S. Congress.
Who was involved in this gross abuse of Americans' First Amendment rights? And will you discipline them? And if you possibly can, will you fire them, Mr. Patel, consistent with department policy and law?
Senator, you have my commitment to investigate any matters such as this one that are important to Congress. I will fully utilize, if confirmed, the investigative powers of the FBI to give you the information you require and also to hold those accountable who violated the sacred trust placed in them at the FBI.
I'm glad to hear you say that, and I'm glad you use the word sacred trust, because that's exactly what it is. The FBI is the most powerful law enforcement body in this nation, arguably the most powerful law enforcement body, at least in a free nation in the world. And to have this body corrupted politically such that it is targeting people of faith in this country and then lying about it to this committee and the American people is unimaginable. I'll be honest with you. I never thought this would happen in the United States of America. I just didn't. If you had told me 5 years ago we'd be reading memos like this, I would have said, no way, that's bad fiction. In fact, it's a horrible reality. The department needs to be cleaned up, the agency does, and rights restored and protected. I'm glad to hear you say that.
And with that, let's take a look now at the business news. In the business news, fuel price recoveries are swinging in the right direction for motorists in South Africa, with diesel now uplining for a cut in March and the big petrol price increase projected at the start of the month now shrinking. The latest data from the Central Energy Fund for the end of the 3rd week in February shows that petrol and diesel prices have fared much better. While petrol prices are still lined up for a hike next month, the under-recovery has decreased from around 60 cents per litre at the start of February to between 5 and 18 cents, depending on the grade. Diesel prices, meanwhile, have staged a complete turnaround, shifting from a projected increase at the start of the month to a cut between 4 and 11 cents per litre. And that's all from the business news. Your sports update follows next. In sporting news, the Minister of Sports, Arts and Culture, Gayton McKenzie, addressed the media during the 2-day National Boxing Convention held in East London ICC, saying it's time for a new boxing world. In addition, the minister emphasized the need to amend boxing regulations and improve infrastructure, beginning with the renovation of the Orient Theatre in East London, a project he has committed to starting within 5 days. The minister expressed his desire to engage former top boxers in efforts to identify amateur talent capable of qualifying for the Los Angeles Olympic Games in 2028. His initiative, Project 350, aims to facilitate the participation of 300 athletes in the Olympics and 50 in the Paralympics.
You wake up, there's a lot. It was in the newspapers, it was advertised, we went through everything. It's a new time for boxing. We are serious. A decade ago, more than a decade ago, everybody says we are going to get together. Here we are. I said this is going to happen in no time. It has happened. We are going to change boxing. Boxing is going back to its number 2 spot in South Africa.
In soccer news, the knockout phase of the 2024-2025 Total Energies CAF Champions League is set following the draws yesterday. Defending champions Al Ahly of Egypt face Sudan's Al Hilal, aiming for a third consecutive title. The Pyramids under Croatian coach scored 14 goals in the group stage, while Asfar, led by Portuguese coach, finished unbeaten. In another matchup, Mamelodi Sundowns from South Africa will challenge Esperance Sport of the Tunis. The final quarter-final features Algeria's MC Alger, who conceded only 2 goals against South Africa's Orlando Pirates. And that's where we're going to have to leave it for this weekend. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back again on Monday. Till then, have a blessed weekend. Good night and take care.